Going on, people? Everybody's picking on Al. We're here to help Al out today. Got himself a real twister there. One of them there news conferences.
Gore, Mr. Cooper.
Watch us hit a video.
And I've been working in Chesapeake Bay for 50 plus years. And I have a crab house business out on the water. And the water level is the same as it was when the place was built in 1970. I'm not a scientist, but I'm a keen observer. And if sea level rise is occurring, why am I not seeing signs of it? I mean, our island is disappearing, but it's because of erosion and not sea level rise. And unless we get a seawall, we will lose our island. But back to the question, why am I not seeing signs of the sea level rise?
What do you think the erosion is due to, Mayor?
Wave action, storms.
Has that increased any?
Not really.
So you're losing the island even though the waves haven't increased?
Yes, this erosion has been going on since Captain John Smith discovered the island and named it.
Yeah,
well, it's gotten to our doorstep now, and we focus on it more.
Well, arguments about science aren't necessarily going to be of any comfort to you, and I'm sorry for what you're going through and your neighbors on Tangier Island. I read about you in the paper. There was an article in the Washington Post, I believe, after President Trump called you up, and won't necessarily do you any good for me to tell you that the scientists do say that the sea level is rising in the Chesapeake Bay, and that you've lost about 2/3 of your island already over a longer period of time, and that the forecast for the future is another 2 feet of sea level. What would if there was another 2 feet of sea level rise, what would that mean for Tangier Island?
Tangier Island, our elevation is only about 4 foot above sea level.
Yeah.
And if I see sea level rise occurring, I'll shout it from the housetop.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have, the land to give up, but I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the challenges of this issue is taking what the scientists say and translating it into terms that are believable to people, where they can see the consequences in their own lives, and I get that, and I try every day to figure out ways to do that.
All right, we got a good dose of an interview there with Al and the other guy. One guy's saying the water level ain't coming up. Al's saying it is. Somebody's not getting the right sciences, or as Al said, he bailed on his scientists and said, well, it's difficult. And sometimes the sciences don't add up, and well, that's where we're going to come in. We're going to come in and try to explain what is going on in the interglacial period. Okay, round Earth interglacial period. Polar ice caps melt and the poles rise. Well, if the poles are rising, then the seafloor's got to be sinking somewhere, someplace. Somebody's got to be making up some, some land mass, okay, or giving it up, one way or the other. These are missing mechanics that Al and his scientist buddies are missing to tell this guy what's going on. The actuality, we should be measuring the depth of the ocean, not the height of it, because it's the ocean that's getting deeper, not because the water is rising. It's because the ocean floor is sinking. Hello. If the poles are rising because of the decreased ice mass, try to get my thoughts into some kind of a proper channel here, and the tectonic plates are going to be squeezing together, and then the weight of the ocean is going to be pushing on the floor of the ocean. It's going to be, it's going to contract the the equatorial region of the planet is shrinking below the ocean. So Al's right, and the other guy's right. They're both right. Like Al's saying, yeah, the oceans are getting higher, and the other guy's saying, no, they're not. So, the oceans are getting larger, but they're not taking into consideration this diagram that I'm showing you right here. Interglacial Earth crust expands at the poles and contracts at the equator. It's known as the Shaughnessy force. Okay, these are the missing mechanics. These are the missing mechanics. These people are missing. We're talking about the IPCC, the great geo-theoretical physics community out there, are missing a big part of the puzzle. Okay, so human activity is expediting the melting of the glaciers and the ice caps on the planet. So we don't want to bail on Al and throw them out the window. Let me try and get this on the right screen here. And yeah, we want to try to get this right. So moving back, so I think it's a better picture. Hopefully you can see that picture better. The other one's a little cut down. So anyways, long story short, this is the missing mechanics. It's simple mechanics. You increase the weight of the ocean, it's gonna push down on the floors, right, on the ocean floor. Just like the scientists are in agreement that if you take the ice off of the polar caps, they expand up. So the North Pole and the South Pole, they're expanding out. They're growing as we speak because the ice is melting. Okay, so you have a drop in weight. It's somewhere in trillions of tons per pole. I mean, trillions of tons of ice has converted into water, and the ocean's now absorbing that trillions of tons of mass and weight. So something's got to give. So the poles are going up, the equatorial region's going in. Okay, this is what causes tectonic plate slips and all sorts of other wild things that can happen in this particular period that we're in right now. Again, this is just another look at the tectonic plates. You can see the plates pretty simple here. It's the same thing. The plates are coming in together in the interglacial period as the poles rise. I got my little balloon thing here. This is the Earth. This is the Earth right now. It's stretching up. Okay. And the equatorial region's going, it's squeezing in. I hope this thing doesn't blow up in my face. Anyways, it squeezes in, okay? We don't see it because it's the ocean, floor of the ocean. We're not at the floor of the ocean. So they need to start taking some depth readings on the floor of the ocean and see where they're at, Granted, the girth of the ocean is getting larger in the around the equatorial region, and because of centrifugal forces, centrifugal forces. That's one of my forces. I think it was my third or fourth law of gravity. Another force that's been ignored, but this is what's going on. So this is what happens during the interglacial periods. The subcontinents crash into continents. The continents are pinned into place by gravitational fields. You can watch this other video I have that will get into the mechanics of Earth, the missing plate. What is it called? The missing energy behind plate tectonics. So it's ice age plate tectonics versus interglacial plate tectonics. But I just wanted to add that in because Al's like, you could use this information to explain to these people that are saying, hey, we're not saying it, So they need to start taking measurements on the depth of the ocean, and this will give them a little bit more information to answer these simple questions that these people have, got a right to ask. This guy's sitting on an island, he's been there for 50 some odd years, and he knows what the water level's been for 50 years. So his family, his granddaddy, they're shucking crabs or clams or whatever, shucking clams, I think, yeah, catching crabs, crab fishermen, whatever. So I mean, a lot of people are seeing this stuff, and so anyways, that's my bit. That's my 2 cents on it. Gonna pump on another video on the King's Salt Shaft, so stay tuned for that one, man. I want to talk about an upload and a half. Hell, I might even get me one of them honorary degrees.